Have you ever walked into a room and felt the atmosphere shift instantly without saying a word? Eyes turn, energy tightens. Some people become unusually kind, others grow strangely cold. Why? Because your energy isn't neutral. It's exposing something. What if I told you that certain people feel uncomfortable around you, not because of who you are, but because of what your presence activates in them? In this video, we're uncovering the hidden reason your energy triggers people, and why that's actually a sign of power, not weakness. We'll decode what psychic energy really is, the science behind energetic presence, and how to protect yourself from subtle energetic attacks permanently. If you've ever felt drained, misunderstood, or spiritually under fire, this might be the most important video you've ever watched. Have you ever noticed how some people become uneasy around you without any logical reason? They shift uncomfortably. Their smile seems forced. They crack sarcastic jokes out of nowhere. Or worse, they suddenly go quiet when you enter the room. Like something unspoken just changed the atmosphere. Here's the truth you were never told. Your energy, especially when it's grounded, self-aware, and spiritually intact, disrupts unconscious patterns in others. You're not disturbing people. You're disturbing their illusions. According to Carl Jung, each of us carries a shadow, the part of ourselves we've repressed, rejected, or never dared to explore. It's made of unhealed wounds, painful memories, and uncomfortable truths. Most people spend their entire lives running from it, but your presence can make that shadow impossible to ignore. You're not doing anything wrong. You're simply showing up without masks, and that is revolutionary. You've done the inner work. Or maybe you're just starting to awaken. Either way, your energy has shifted. You're less reactive, more aware. You've stopped feeding the lies that used to keep you small. And here's what no one tells you. Clarity is threatening. Presence is confrontational. Because in a world addicted to emotional chaos and noise, someone who's simply centered feels unnatural, even dangerous. Your calm becomes a mirror. And that mirror reflects what others have spent years avoiding. They don't know why they're uncomfortable around you, but their body reacts. Their ego bristles. Their unconscious mind starts to defend itself because part of them knows, if I stand too close to this person, I might have to see myself. This is why you may attract hostility in unexpected places, not because you're aggressive, but because your energy challenges what's false in others. You awaken something in people, something they weren't ready to feel. Think back. How many times has this happened? You speak with emotional honesty, and someone immediately makes a joke to downplay it. You enter a space peacefully and feel an undercurrent of tension rise from others. You express clarity or confidence, and someone takes it as arrogance or tries to undermine it. At first, you may wonder, did I say something wrong? But the deeper truth is, your frequency itself is what's speaking. You don't need to say anything. You are the message. And for those still lost in their shadow, your presence feels like a spotlight they never asked for. This is where the harvesting begins, because most people don't have the tools to sit with discomfort. They project it. They won't admit they feel inadequate, exposed, or out of alignment around you. Instead, they'll react in subtle, draining ways. Sarcasm, passive-aggressive remarks, withholding affection or attention, making you doubt your intuition. Each of these is an unconscious attempt to pull you down to their frequency, because that's where they feel safe. And if you're not grounded in your own awareness, it's easy to start dimming your light just to avoid conflict. But understand this, dimming your light doesn't make others more comfortable. It just makes you invisible to those who truly need your brilliance. You were not born to shrink. You were not sent here to appease the unconscious. You're here to embody clarity, even when it's uncomfortable. The fact that others feel off around you is not a sign to change yourself. It's a signal that your energy is working. You are disrupting illusions, And yes, some people will resist. They may mock you, ghost you, challenge you, or try to pull you into drama. But that's not personal. It's the ego defending its narrative. The moment you realize this, everything changes. You stop internalizing other people's discomfort. You stop thinking their reaction equals your responsibility. Instead, you begin to see clearly, this is a projection. This is their shadow speaking, not mine. And that shift alone reclaims enormous amounts of energy. Because here's a hard truth. The greatest leaks in your energy field often come from trying to manage other people's reactions to your authenticity. Every time you silence yourself to avoid awkwardness. Every time you second-guess your intuition to seem more relatable. Every time you absorb someone else's emotional state as your own. You're participating in your own harvesting. You're consenting energetically to stay in a reality that doesn't reflect who you truly are anymore. So here's your permission. You don't need to explain your energy. You don't need to fix the discomfort it causes. Let people squirm. Let them walk away. Let the mirror do its work. Because that same energy that disturbs the unconscious is the very force that activates the awakened. For every person who resists your presence, another will be magnetized to it. They'll feel seen, safe, inspired, sometimes without even knowing why. Your energy doesn't just disturb, it awakens, and awakening by its very nature is disruptive. So if people around you are acting strange lately, if relationships feel strained or interactions turn cold for no clear reason, take a moment. Don't rush to fix it. Instead, ask, what truth is my presence exposing right now? Because chances are it's not your fault, it's your clarity, and clarity is power. Let's get one thing clear. When we talk about energy in this context, we're not talking about fairy dust, crystals floating mid-air, or new age buzzwords without substance. We're talking about something much more concrete, something that science, psychology, and physics are beginning to agree on, even if they call it by different names. What you emit, your presence, your vibe, your emotional undercurrent, isn't just imagination. It's measurable, it's real, and it's constantly influencing the people and spaces around you. So let's strip away the mystery for a moment. What is this energy you carry? Psychologically, it's referred to as psychic energy, a concept deeply explored by Carl Jung, not in a mystical sense, but in terms of how the psyche functions, how motivation is formed, how the unconscious drives influence your thoughts, decisions, posture, tone of voice, even your silence. You don't just carry thoughts. You carry the weight of thoughts, the charge of emotion, the frequency of unresolved stories playing in the background of your mind. That's energy. Now, pair this with what neuroscience tells us. Your nervous system is a highly sensitive, electromagnetic field detector. You've felt it. Walk into a room where two people just argued, and you know instantly. No words are spoken, but you feel the static. That's not just intuition. That's emotional resonance and neuroception. Your nervous system picking up on subtle shifts in facial expressions, micro-behaviors, and electromagnetic signals. Even more fascinating, we now know that humans possess something called mirror neurons that fire both when you perform an action and when you see someone else do it. This is why emotions are contagious. It's why being around an anxious person can make you feel unsettled, even if nothing is wrong in your life. It's why a calm, grounded presence can lower everyone's tension in a room without a word spoken. This isn't magic. This is biology, and it goes deeper. Your heart, surprisingly, emits the strongest electromagnetic field in the human body, far more powerful than your brain. According to studies by the HeartMath Institute, the electromagnetic field of your heart can be detected up to 3 feet away from your body. And that field fluctuates depending on your emotional state. So yes, your feelings don't just stay inside. They ripple outward, constantly informing your interactions. Now combine that with what quantum physics has discovered. At the quantum level, everything is energy, including your thoughts. Thoughts aren't just invisible fluff. They are electromagnetic impulses. They fire, they travel, and they radiate. The observer effect, for example, shows that particles behave differently when they're being watched, meaning consciousness isn't just passive but interactive. Your perception shapes reality, subtly, constantly, and often unconsciously. What does this mean for you? It means your vibe, as casually as that word is thrown around, is actually an accumulation of subconscious signals, energetic frequencies, psychological patterns, and even quantum influence. It's not fluff. It's a field. It means that when someone says your energy is intense or I just feel something around you, it's not some mystical overreaction. It's their system responding to the field you carry. Now here's where it gets wild, because most people have no idea they're even emitting anything. They go about life completely unaware that unresolved trauma, buried guilt, or suppressed rage is radiating off them like invisible fog, distorting their interactions, attracting specific experiences, and repelling others without ever speaking a word. This is why two people can say the same thing, and one creates connection, while the other triggers resistance. It's not about the words, it's about the field behind them. You could say, I'm here to help, but if you carry fear, judgment, or control in your energy, people feel it, animals feel it, children feel it. This is why energy doesn't lie, because you can't fake coherence, and coherence, that's the key. When your thoughts, emotions, and actions are aligned, your field becomes strong, steady, and clear. That's coherence. When you say one thing but feel another, or when you act out of obligation instead of truth, your field becomes fractured. That's incoherence. People may not know why they mistrust you, but they do, because at a subconscious level, we are all wired to seek resonance and avoid dissonance. Now, what does all of this have to do with being harvested? Everything, because incoherence creates vulnerability. Just like a glitch in software creates an entry point for a virus, if your energy field is leaking due to internal contradictions, like pretending to be okay when you're not, or constantly suppressing your truth to fit in, you become a beacon. For people, places, and situations that feed off that weakness, you attract chaos. You attract conflict. You attract psychic parasites, not because you're weak, but because your field is accessible. You haven't sealed your energetic integrity. So people unconsciously sense an opening. They don't know why. They suddenly feel empowered to dump their drama on you, or subtly guilt you into doing things that drain your soul. But their subconscious recognizes that you're open, and that openness can be exploited. This is the mechanism behind energetic harvesting, and it's invisible until you become aware of it. But once you do, once you understand that you are emitting a field, influencing others and being influenced in return, everything changes. You stop playing victim, you start becoming the architect. You realize that energy isn't woo-woo, it's the interface between your inner world and the outer world. Your energy is your signal, and from this point forward, you'll either transmit it consciously, or it will be used by forces that benefit from your unconsciousness. The good news, you can shift this. You can train your energy, clear your field, and align your presence so deeply that only people, opportunities, and experiences that match your coherence can enter. It starts with awareness, it continues with responsibility, and it ends with sovereignty. Because when your energy becomes intentional, aligned, and whole, the harvesting stops. Not because the world changes, but because you do. Let's be honest, you've probably noticed this strange phenomenon by now. People either open up to you as if they've known you for years, or they recoil, become distant, dismissive, even defensive, without any clear reason. There's rarely a neutral response. And if you're spiritually aware or energetically sensitive, you've probably wondered, why does my presence seem to create such extreme reactions in others? Here's the answer, raw and unfiltered. Your energy doesn't ask for permission. It reveals, it doesn't knock quietly, it holds up a mirror. And when people aren't ready to see themselves clearly, they panic, not always outwardly, but subtly. They flinch, the tone shifts. They second-guess you, they challenge your authenticity in small, calculated ways, and suddenly, what started as a normal interaction feels uncomfortable. Why? Because at an unconscious level, your energy is forcing a decision. Am I ready to face my truth? And if the answer is no, they pull away. This isn't about ego or arrogance. It's not about being too much or too intense. It's about resonance or rejection. There's something in you that others can feel, and that something is your field of coherence. You're not just saying things that challenge them. You are someone who challenges them without effort, without intention, just by existing in a more integrated state. This is your gift. But it can also feel like a curse, because the more aligned you become, the more disruptive your presence is to those who are out of alignment. And here's the paradox. You're not doing anything. You're simply being real in a world addicted to pretending. And that's revolutionary. When someone meets your groundedness with discomfort, what they're really saying is, I don't feel safe facing what you remind me of. And they'll do anything to escape that feeling. Some will retreat, some will ghost you, some will criticize you or spread subtle discontent, not because of you, but because the energetic mirror you hold up is too honest. It reflects the gap between who they are pretending to be and who they actually are. It shows them what they haven't healed, what they haven't admitted, what they still fear, deny, or suppress. And this reflection feels unbearable to an unprepared ego. You may notice this most in close relationships, with family, with old friends, with partners. People who once felt connected to you suddenly begin to feel off. It's not that you've become cold or superior, you've simply changed frequencies. And once your frequency shifts, the resonance either deepens or dissolves. There's no middle ground anymore. It's one of the hidden laws of energy. Your vibration filters your environment. You're not the same person who used to tolerate inauthenticity. You're not emotionally available to feed other people's illusions anymore. You're not energetically open to being drained by someone who refuses to grow. And the moment this becomes true in your field, the universe responds. Some people will gravitate toward you instantly. They'll feel like they've finally found someone who gets it. Their guard drops. Conversations go deep fast. Trust builds in seconds. There's a sense of coming home. Others will reject you before you even speak. They'll see your stillness as judgment, your insight as arrogance, your boundaries as ego, because they can't yet tell the difference between confidence and threat. And here's what you need to remember. Their reaction is never about your truth. It's about their fear, and you're not here to fix that. You're not here to dilute yourself so others can feel safe in their illusions. You're here to embody your frequency fully and let the right people find you through resonance. You're not meant to be palatable to everyone. You're meant to be magnetic to the ones who are ready, and that magnetism works both ways. Yes, your energy will attract the aligned, but it will also repel the mismatched. That's not failure, that's the filter doing its job. If you're constantly receiving strange reactions from people, if you feel isolated, misread, or misunderstood, it doesn't mean you're broken. It may mean you're finally aligned. And in that alignment, your frequency becomes unmistakable. People feel it in your tone, in your silence, in your gaze. They feel safe, or they feel exposed, and their nervous systems make the decision before their minds ever catch up. This is why people confess things to you they've never told anyone else. Why strangers are drawn to you. Why others retreat the moment you start. Speaking from a deeper truth. Your energy isn't passive, it's active. It either invites people forward or calls them out of hiding, and both responses are sacred. You're not here to be understood by everyone. You're here to hold frequency. That frequency is a tuning fork. It says, this is what truth feels like. And those who are ready will rise to meet it. Those who aren't will run. So stop chasing validation. Stop apologizing for making people uncomfortable. Stop interpreting rejection as a reflection of your worth, and start seeing it as energetic. Sorting. Your field is evolving, and not everyone will come with you. Let them go. Let your resonance speak for itself. Because in this world, few things are more magnetic than someone who has made peace with their own frequency. Let's talk about something subtle, something you've definitely felt before, but maybe couldn't explain. You're in a conversation, you're being honest, grounded, calm, and suddenly the other person throws out a little jab. Maybe they say something like, "Oh, you think you're better than everyone now," or "You're always so intense, why can't you just relax?" It seems like a joke, a passing comment, but you feel it hit deeper. It's not a direct attack, but it's off. There's tension underneath it, something unsaid, something unresolved. This is passive-aggressive behavior. And it's not just social awkwardness, it's an energetic defense mechanism. Here's what's really going on. When your energy is clear, present, and aligned, it confronts people, not with words, but with contrast. And contrast is the most uncomfortable mirror of all. It makes people suddenly aware of their own incoherence, their own masks, their own suppressed emotions, but instead of facing that, their ego flinches, and it responds with the only tools it knows: deflection, sarcasm, and subtle undermining. Because to the ego, emotional exposure feels like annihilation. And your presence, if it's too raw, too honest, too steady, can feel like a threat, but it won't attack you directly. That would require ownership, consciousness, vulnerability. So instead, it hides behind humor, tone, indirect criticism, backhanded compliments. This is how the ego protects itself without appearing wrong. It's a survival strategy. Carl Jung described the ego as a protective shell formed by conditioning and survival instincts. And anything that challenges that shell, even your peaceful presence, feels like an invasion. So the ego fights back, quietly, indirectly, but effectively, because if it can destabilize you, it doesn't have to question itself. That's why passive-aggressive behavior is so draining. It's not just the words, it's the energetic confusion it creates. You walk away from the interaction questioning yourself. Was I too much? Should I not have said anything? Did I provoke something? And suddenly you're carrying someone else's projection like it's your burden. That's how the harvesting continues, not through big dramatic battles, but through subtle energetic games. Games that leave you second-guessing your truth, shrinking your voice, dimming your clarity, because that's exactly what the ego wants, to reassert dominance without being called out. But here's what you need to know. You don't owe anyone comfort at the cost of your coherence. When someone gets passive-aggressive with you, it's not a sign that you've overstepped. It's a sign that you've touched a nerve. That nerve might be tied to their unprocessed shame, their unresolved jealousy, their unspoken desire for truth, that they're not ready to live. And in that moment, your groundedness exposes the gap. Your calm is louder than any words. Your clarity becomes confrontation just by existing. This is why passive-aggressive people often target the grounded ones, because they can't fight your energy directly. They can't destabilize you through argument. So they try to do it through energetic disruption, snide remarks, emotional distance, vague criticisms. They want to shift the balance, pull you into reactivity, because if you react, they win. You're back on their level. The playing field is safe again, but if you hold your center, if you stay non-reactive, you're telling their ego, I see you, but I'm not playing your game. And that silently dismantles their strategy. It breaks the spell. Now let's be clear, this doesn't mean you have to tolerate disrespect, but it does mean you have to see through the disguise. Because once you recognize passive-aggressive behavior for what it is, a defense mechanism of the disempowered, you stop taking it personally. You stop thinking you need to fix the interaction. You stop twisting yourself into emotional knots, trying to clear the air. Instead, you anchor deeper. You become an energetic boundary in human form, and that's exactly what the ego can't touch. So next time someone gets weirdly cold after you express a truth, next time someone throws shade in the form of humor, next time someone tries to make you question your clarity, pause, don't react, observe. Ask yourself, what did my presence awaken in them? What truth am I reminding them of? What part of their mask did I just mirror back? And remember, you are not responsible for the pain your presence reveals. You are not here to rescue people from their emotional defenses. You are not here to coddle egos at the expense of your alignment. You're here to stand in truth, even if it makes others uncomfortable, especially if it does, because truth has always been the greatest disruptor, and those who carry it silently, steadily, will always stir something in the false. So hold your center. Let the passive aggression pass through you, not into you, because the moment you take it personally, you start leaking energy. But the moment you recognize it for what it is, you reclaim power, and eventually the people who once felt threatened by you will either rise to meet your frequency or fade from your field. Either way, you win. Let's get one thing straight. You were never meant to shrink in order to survive, yet many of us learned, often unconsciously, that being quiet, agreeable, or less intense would make life easier. We believed that if we just softened our light, we'd avoid conflict, rejection, or discomfort, but that strategy doesn't protect you. It betrays you. Every time you dim your energy to make others feel comfortable, you leak life force. You feed the false. You enter a silent agreement. I'll abandon myself so you won't feel threatened. That's not protection. That's energetic self-sacrifice. So let's talk about real protection, because protecting your energy isn't about building walls or becoming distant. It's about holding your center so firmly that nothing can enter without permission. Let's begin with this truth. Your energy field responds more to your emotional integrity than your intentions. You can sage your space, wear crystals, recite mantras, but if you're people-pleasing, silencing yourself, or absorbing other people's pain to keep the peace, you're energetically exposed. So the first act of energetic protection is this: stop abandoning your truth to manage other people's reactions. That means when someone gets passive-aggressive, you don't match their confusion. You maintain your clarity. When someone projects fear or judgment onto you, you don't shrink, you stay grounded. When someone tries to guilt, shame, or manipulate your emotional state, you don't react, you observe. Observation is power. Why? Because reaction leaks energy, but awareness contains it. When you observe rather than absorb, you stay sovereign. You stop being a sponge and become a mirror, and mirrors don't react, they reflect. So here's your mantra. I am not here to carry what isn't mine. That includes emotional projections, psychic guilt, silent expectations, and energetic hooks from unresolved relationships. You are not a dumpster for unprocessed emotions. You are a sovereign being, and sovereignty means boundaries, not just physical, energetic, emotional, psychological. Let's talk about some practical ways to reinforce them. Visualize your field and seal it every morning. Take 30 seconds to visualize your energy field. Imagine a golden or electric blue sphere expanding around your body, 3 to 6 feet in all directions. This is your aura, your electromagnetic shield. Now seal it with your intention only. Energies aligned with my highest truth may enter this space. Everything else dissolves on contact. It's not fantasy, it's focus. Your subconscious takes this command seriously, and it programs your field to match. Use your breath to reclaim space. Whenever you feel drained, overwhelmed, or energetically invaded, pause. Take a deep breath into your belly. Hold it. Exhale slowly and imagine your energy returning to your center. Say internally, return to sender. I call all parts of my energy back to me. This simple act clears cords, cuts psychic noise, and brings you back to presence. It's like hitting reset on your nervous system. Practice energetic discernment. Not every space deserves your full presence. Not every conversation needs your energy. Not every connection should remain open. Begin asking, do I feel expanded or contracted around this person? Does this space support my truth or dilute it? Am I here out of alignment or obligation? Your body will answer before your mind does. Trust the signal. Energetic hygiene isn't just about avoiding toxic people. It's about recognizing where your energy flows and whether it's being honored. Let frequency do the filtering. You don't need to explain yourself to people who are committed to misunderstanding you. Let your vibrations speak. Those who resonate will rise. Those who don't will remove themselves. This is not rejection, it's refinement. Trust it. Create sacred space, internally and externally. Where do you go when the world gets loud? Create a ritual space in your life, a literal room, a corner, a time of day where your energy is allowed to just be. Journal, breathe, ground, reflect. No one harvesting, no one projecting, just you reconnecting, because your energy becomes more resilient the more time you spend with it. This is how you protect your energy permanently, not through fear, but through familiarity. The more you know your field, the more you'll notice when something foreign enters it. It will feel off, and you'll respond, not react. That's power. Energetic protection isn't about hiding. It's about owning your space so fully that anything not aligned with truth simply can't stay. It withers, it dissolves, it bounces off. Why? Because truth doesn't fight for space, it is space. And when you stop apologizing for your vibration, when you stop dimming your light to avoid disturbing others, you become untouchable, not because you're harder, but because you're clearer. And clarity is the strongest shield there is. Here's the final truth most people never realize. You can't permanently protect your energy by simply reacting to life, by dodging negativity, by shielding, by cleansing, by managing your boundaries like a full-time job. That's survival, and it keeps you in a loop of hypervigilance. Real energetic protection, the kind that lasts, comes from one thing only: who you become. Because the more aligned you are, the more embodied you become. The less you even resonate with distortion. Your frequency no longer matches the frequencies that used to drain you. Your field no longer responds to manipulation, guilt, or projection. Not because you built stronger defenses, but because you evolved beyond them. This is what spiritual maturity looks like. You don't just react to energy, you emit energy so clearly, so coherently, that it becomes its own reality field. People enter your presence and either rise with it or quietly exit. Not because you said anything, not because you pushed them away, but because your vibration did the sorting for you. Let's go deeper. Every behavior, emotion, and pattern you carry emits a frequency. When you're in survival mode, people-pleasing, overthinking, constantly adjusting to be liked, you emit a field of insecurity. When you suppress your truth, your frequency tells the world, it's okay to ignore me, I don't fully respect myself. And so, others follow that signal. They project onto you, they drain you, they push your boundaries, not because they're evil, but because you told Then they could, energetically. Now imagine this instead. You walk into a space. You're calm, centered, unapologetic, not defensive, just whole. Your posture speaks clarity. Your gaze says, I see through the noise. Your silence isn't awkward, it's commanding. What happens? People feel it. Their nervous systems react. Some feel safe, some feel seen, others feel exposed, but none can ignore it because you've become a living boundary, not through effort, through embodiment. That's the key. True protection isn't about fighting off lower energy. It's about no longer matching it. It's about shifting your identity from a reactive empath to a conscious, sovereign being who emits frequency. On purpose, this is why every ritual, every boundary, every visualization only works if you back it with your becoming, if you still secretly doubt yourself, if you still carry guilt for speaking your truth, if you still try to fix people who project onto you, then the harvesting continues. Because energy follows belief. Your frequency isn't just shaped by what you think, it's shaped by what you believe you deserve. So here's the real work. You don't just need stronger shields, you need a stronger self-concept. You need to know, not hope, not wish, but know that your energy is sacred, that your space is valuable, that your truth is non-negotiable, and the moment you lock into that, people can feel it. Manipulators lose interest, energy vampires walk away, unconscious guilt trips no longer land, because they no longer have a hook. There's nothing in you left to grab. This is where energy protection becomes effortless. It's no longer something you do, it's something you are. You are the boundary, you are the shield, you are the frequency. And this shift changes everything. Because now you're no longer just surviving your interactions. You're curating your field. You're attracting people who meet you with mutual respect. You're creating environments where truth is the default. You're becoming a catalyst, not a container for energy. And that's the paradox. When you stop trying to protect your energy out of fear and start honoring it from a place of truth, you become untouchable because nothing outside you can override what's been anchored inside you. So the next time you feel drained, the next time someone's words cut a little too deep or their silence feels like a rejection, don't ask, what did I do wrong? Ask, what in me still believes I'm not safe being fully myself? And let that question lead you, because the final layer of energy protection isn't outer, it's inner. It's the belief that you no longer have to shrink, that you no longer have to carry what's not yours, that you no longer have to fight for space. You are the space. And from that space, everything aligns. So here we are. If you've watched this far, it means something in you already knew that the weird tension in certain rooms, the quiet withdrawal of people you once loved, the exhaustion that didn't make sense, wasn't random, it was energetic. And maybe, just maybe, this video gave language to something you've been feeling your whole life but couldn't explain. The truth is, you were never too sensitive. You were never too much. You were never imagining things. You were just waking up in a world asleep to energy. But now that you see it, you can't unsee it. You understand what's really happening when people pull away, lash out, or subtly try to make you question yourself. It's not about you. It's about the mirror you hold. And from now on, you have a choice. You can either keep managing other people's discomfort, shrinking, explaining, negotiating your presence just to keep the peace. Or you can anchor into your energy like never before. You can walk into any room knowing that your field speaks first, that your clarity isn't a threat, it's a filter, that your authenticity doesn't repel people, it reveals who's ready, and maybe that's the gift. Not everyone will understand you, but the right ones, the ones you're meant to impact, will feel you instantly. No masks, no explanation, just resonance. Because here's the truth no one tells you. You don't have to protect your energy from the world. When you become the kind of energy the world can't distort, that doesn't mean life won't challenge you. That doesn't mean people won't still try to test your boundaries, but it means you'll face it all differently, not with fear, not with exhaustion, but with quiet authority, with presence, with peace. So next time you feel someone's energy trying to invade your space, don't panic, don't retreat, don't even react, just breathe. Come back to yourself and remember, your stillness is a declaration. You are no longer available for energetic confusion. You are no longer playing small to fit in. You are no longer feeding systems that survive off your disempowerment. You are the generator now. Your energy is yours. Your frequency is sacred. Your presence is power, and no one can harvest what you've claimed as your own. If this video helped you put words to something you've felt for a long time, take a second now to like this video. It tells the algorithm this kind of deep, honest content matters. Leave a comment below and share your story. Your insights might help someone else who's going through the same awakening. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next layer of truth we uncover together. And if you know someone, a friend, a family member, who's been feeling drained, lost, or misunderstood, share this video with them. It might be the mirror they've been needing. More videos are on the screen right now. Follow your intuition and watch the one that calls to you. Your next breakthrough might begin there. Until next time, protect your peace, honor your field, and never apologize for your frequency. I'll see you in the next video.